We've just hit record. Welcome to everyone currently jumping on the call. We're about to kick off in less than a minute. So thanks for being so prompt to the call. Look forward to starting the conversation very soon. That's great. I see those numbers going up. We can't currently see your faces, but we're excited to have you here with us. For anyone joining the call just now, I'm really excited to dive right in. My name's Eva. I'm part of the team here at Birchal, and with me, you'll also see on the screen Jason, who is the founder of a very exciting business called Hellraiser. Jason's here today to talk to you about this very exciting investment opportunity. But before I hand over the baton, let me just give a bit of an introduction and lay of the land. So before I start, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land I'm streaming in from. Birchal is based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin nation, and we pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Now, as I mentioned, I'm here part of the Birchal team. Birchal are working very closely with Jason on Hellraiser's upcoming crowdsourced funding offer. Crowdsourced funding is a form of fundraising in Australia that allows growing businesses to raise capital from a large number of investors through an online platform such as Birchal. This regime will enable Hellraiser to raise funds from their community and the public at large in exchange for equity in Hellraiser's business. Birchal Financial Services will be the licensed intermediary for this offer. The information and discussion in this webinar is for informational purposes and should not be considered as advice or a recommendation to invest. Please, we encourage you, do your own research. Always consider the offer document and the general risk warning before investing. And more information is available on Birchal's website at birchal.com. Now, for a very brief overview of how today's session will run, in just a moment, Jason is going to kick off with a presentation all about Hellraiser, and that will be followed by an audience Q&A. To submit a question for the Q&A, look to the bottom of your Zoom screen and you'll see a little Q&A bubble. Please pop your question in the Q&A box as we go along and feel free to ask questions whenever you're ready. We'll then answer those questions live after the presentation. So you'll have plenty of time to answer questions, and we really do encourage ask anything sitting in the back of your head. We are recording this session today, so if you do have to jump off early, a recording will be sent around afterwards. But that's enough from me. Without further ado, I'm going to sit here and share my screen, and I'm going to hand over to Jason. Jason, do you want to kick off with a bit of an introduction?
Wonderful. Thank you, Eva, and hello, everybody. Thank you for giving me your time and joining our little session with regards to what we think is quite an exciting new brand to come into the Australian liquor markets. Just before I take you through the new business opportunity, I thought I'd give you a bit of a recognition of who I am and what I've done in the past. As if you can all see me, you can see the lovely grey whiskers. I've been at this game for quite some time. The wrinkles are getting deeper and the whiskers are getting greyer, but I've been in and around the Australian liquor market for 22 odd years. I cut my teeth way back at the start by importing luxury premium vodka for the Endeavour Drinks Group, which was the Pinnacle Drinks team back in the day. And I was given a fantastic opportunity to look at other brands and businesses that the EDG guys were wanting to get into, particularly into the Australian spirit market. Some 13 years ago, I came up with a concept that led me to create a brand that is still going quite strong in the Australian spirit market. It was based around Australian whiskey, and at the time, the godfathers of the Australian whiskey movement down in Tasmania were just starting to win their very first gold medals. I went to the market and got some like-minded friends involved, and that brand eventuated to become what we now know as Ned Whiskey. And we were very proud to create that brand. It's still quite popular within the trade at the moment. But what it did was create the world's first canned Australian whisky. So therefore, we created a very new category, which was Aussie Whisky RTD. That business has gone on to reach several levels of success. We listed it on the ASX some 3.5, 4 years ago now, and I've since taken an opportunity to leave the company. But it's great to see that so many people were quite excited when I decided to come back and bring this particular brand into the Australian liquor industry. I think that there are fantastic opportunities at hand, and I'm going by years of experience, as I mentioned in my previous form with the TSI boys. We spent a hell of a lot of time, effort, money, blood, sweat and tears creating Aussie whisky in a format that became affordable and available to all of the stores around Australia. And I think there is an opportunity at hand where we can probably mitigate some risk, so to speak, in presenting you guys with an opportunity to invest in a brand and a product that has got a 3-level format to it. So the dark spirit industry, as you well know, is governed by bourbon, whiskey and rum, dark rum, and Aussies drink those 3 varieties in voluminous numbers. I think that there is a distinct chance that we can, or we already have contacted many people in the trade, particularly through the Independent Retail Association, and told them what is afoot. And Hellraiser has been designed to cover the entire dark spirit regime across those 3 variants of whiskey, rum and bourbon. Those of you who are in the trade, and it's great to see so many familiar names register their interest on our registration forms, particularly from the trade and people that I know, is that it's hard to have a win in every particular neighbourhood around the country. And God knows we tried it with my previous brand. But I think by mitigating risk and spreading the risk across 3 different varietals of the dark spirit, no doubt you'll have your wins in Queensland with the rum lovers, and our friends in South Australia and WA are quite prominent to be drinking bourbon. There's been some comments on social media. We do not profess to be creating a bourbon drink here in Australia. When COVID broke, myself and 2 colleagues had the opportunity to tour the lovely bourbon facilities, distilleries and farms in the southern states of the US. And we have taken the opportunity to purchase bourbon from 2 of those facilities, one of which is in the top 15 volumetric wise in the States. So they very well know their onions over there. And we'll be bringing bourbon in under the Hellraiser brand. I do know a thing or two about Aussie whisky. We started the Ned brand quite some time ago, as I said, and I think it's just celebrated 10 years in the trade, with a couple of years setting up beforehand. And we know how prominent Aussie whisky is within the Australian demographic, and it's been well supported. And of course, that leads us into the rum, where we know our northern cousins buy it hand over fist and they just love it. Some fantastic Australian, actually the very first Australian canned rum being Bundy was the only canned Australian spirit when we started our previous format in Ned Whisky. So it's great to see it still kicking goals and moving forward. So I'll take you briefly through if Ever's with me, through the presentation. You'll hear a little bit about the story and why we've come to task to bring this to the trade, what we think is a solution to deliver a 3-pronged attack into the dark spirit market, where the distribution will be, who the customers are, the opportunities in the market, and how we think we'll get this away. So Hellraiser, it says here, obviously, there's a new sheriff in the Australian dark spirit market. We are proud to bring bourbon, Aussie whisky and rum into the fold. We do know where these products are sold. We built a significant business quite some time ago, starting with the independent trade, and that is all the corner stores in every neighbourhood, the celebrations, the IGA stores, Bottle Marts, Bottle Lows and the like. There are different banner groups right across the country, and we've had a long-standing relationship with senior buyers, directors and distributors in all of the warehouses that handle the products that get fed out to those stores. And we are very welcome back, and they're quite excited to see what we've got to offer them in the coming months. Legal-wise, we are obliged to tell you who are the directors and the senior managers within our business. I've just extolled my virtues over the last 20 years in the Australian liquor market, building, designing, creating and founding a significant Aussie whiskey business. Sam Stringer is the CFO and a non-executive director. Sam works for the Murchison Accounting Group in Northern Sydney, and you can read further details upon Sam's achievements in the financial markets. Christian Apollini, who I've known for quite some time, has been giving me stern legal advice for quite a long time, has got his own practice in Wollongong in New South Wales now, and was part of the Moray Agnew team that we led on quite often down in Melbourne. And Bill Batsila, lo and behold, was the very first customer of mine back in the Ned days, some 12 years ago, 11 years ago. And Billy was successfully running a very small liquor store group with his family, about 40 odd years of history. And then when Bill sold his liquor stores, he became the Victorian State Manager for Ned Whisky Sales, and he knows quite a lot about the industry and the people, obviously, who trade in these commodities. Overpriced and underwhelming, inconvenient, inaccessible and poor craftsmanship. I mean, we throw the gamut right across the board here. We think that there are opportunities in the trade to bring quality product at affordable prices. Again, I don't want to keep harping back to my past, but I've been involved in businesses that have spent significant money building fantastic production plants, breweries, distilleries, beverage co-packing plants, canning lines and bottling lines, and the amount of investment that you need to build these and maintain these facilities is enormous. We think that we can be quite savvy by going to the market without necessarily owning these facilities, but taking the opportunities to utilise them. There is a number of distillers in the marketplace these days who, felt for the romantic view 15, 10, 8, 5, 4 years ago about creating Australian spirit and selling it under their own brand. And even back when we were creating our first Australian whiskey brand, we were buying significant amounts of liquid from professional production teams all around Australia. And we will continue to do that. Fortunately for Hellraiser, there is a glut of Australian liquor on the market being produced, to exacting standards, not necessarily single malt gold medal Tassie whiskey stuff, but very, very good quality coming out of fantastic operations, and they're looking for help to move some of their liquid. We think that we've got enough runs on the board from what I've been doing in the past to help some of these distillers and move quite a lot of Australian spirit, particularly the Aussie whiskey and the rum. As I said at my opening stanza, there is no way that we are releasing an Aussie bourbon. So for those of you or those that have been making comment on social media, it's about time they get their facts straight. Inconvenient and inaccessible. Sometimes, you can spend quite a lot of time, effort and money creating the facility to bring you the product. As I said, we're looking forward to utilising these massive assets that other people have and other businesses have. And we've designed our brand to be a very competitive brand. We don't have huge overheads to keep our business going. We've got a fantastic sales team, And over the last 2 years, whilst I've been building this brand, it's been quite a joy to have so many people that I've worked with in the past want an opportunity to help us with this. So we're looking forward to bring a low-cost product into the market. We want to reward our retailers, who will then pass on a competitive price to the consumers. And as I said earlier, we'll mitigate our risk by spreading our dark spirit brand across 3 different varieties throughout every state in Australia. Again, unmatched quality. You know, we're relying on the expertise of the craftsmen in Australia. As I said, with rum distilleries in Queensland, particularly 2 distilleries we'll be working with in Australia that have been laying down whiskey for as long as I have been back in the day. It's a great opportunity to assist these people, bringing another offer into the market. We see the ABV, particularly in the RTD market, the ready-to-drink cans, is growing. You know, we used to be looking at a format of a 4.6% and a 6% can. Our brand of Hellraiser will start with a 6.5%, offer an 8%, a 12%, and God forbid, a 15% ABV in our bourbon, whiskey, and rum cola formats. There is an opportunity to extend the range as we grow. It'll be very much a crawl, walk, run regime that we're moving into. But there'll be other variants coming on board if and when are required, with the likes of dry ginger offers, etc. We want to remain competitive with our glass opportunity as well. And we're looking at bringing a 37% ABV to the market purely for a price-pointed opportunity. And we want to marry that with our low-cost overheads to bring a quality product at an affordable price to every neighbourhood in the country. Thank you, Emma. Accessible anytime and everywhere. We want to be on the shelves, as I said, through all of the independent networks. We don't have any aspirations at this point in time to be dealing with the marquee retailers, who are the Coles and the Woolworths. They're not easy to get into, and they do take their pound of flesh, for those of those who are listening to me. But I've been dealing in different formats with the Coles and Woolies guys for 20 odd years, and I think there is enough opportunity in the trade to build a significant brand through the independent retail network. As I said, it's available in everybody's neighbourhood, and it's a fantastic way of doing business with the independents who own and buy the product with their own monies. Again, we're offering, you know, an opportunity for all of Australia to enjoy this brand. As I said, I've spent significant time into the category of Australian whiskey, but we can't deny that, you know, our friends over in the States enjoy fantastic sales opportunities in our country by selling North American whiskey, or sweet whiskey, or bourbon as it's known. And of course, the opportunities to enter the marketplace. There used to be an old saying that they couldn't give rum away under the Queensland border, but you couldn't sell anything else over it. So why would I want to, you know, lose an opportunity to have our brand trading well in any particular region in Australia, which is why we split the business and the brand into the 3 varietals. And we think that by doing so at a quality price point, we will have a great sales opportunity. Now, we're looking at a significant trade in our first 12 to 18 months, and it's a lot easier to be able to try and wholesale $5 million of a category of a dark spirit than it is $20 million. I know, I've been there and tried to do it. So by having the opportunity to have these 3 dark spirits running across 4 different ABVs in every place in Australia, should provide us with the opportunity to meet our targets. You can probably see the previous slide was just some shots of the brand. You know, it very much screams a dark spirit brand. It's got a fantastic connotation as a hellraiser. When we started the previous brand I was involved with, we used to call it a can of trouble, and that's exactly what the dark spirit RTD market is. We don't profess to take Hellraiser into any particular gold medal winning sipping whiskey awards. We think it is a brand for the people. The majority of sales in this particular category are in fact involved in the RTD canning side, but we will extend our offering to a 700 ml 37% bottle when the time comes. But we'll be leading the charge with our RTD format in cans. Everybody who is on this call obviously knows the dark spirit industry. They know that it has been prominent in Australia for many, many years. Like all commodities, it has its moments, but it never really repeals. You know, we see uplifts in the white spirit market. You know, gin came to the fore 5 or 6 years ago and is still going strong. Vodka comes in and out of the marketplace with quite a lot of flavoured RTDs. And of course, there's been, you know, a resurgence of agave and particularly tequila of late. But all in all, the dark spirit market still powers through. And more people drink dark spirits in Australia than their white alternatives. These numbers have been taken from the Circana data of a very recent time. It's telling us 4.3 million people in 2023 were drinking a dark spirit late in the piece. Pardon me, it's a $700 billion industry. 20% of Australians now consume these RTDs, which is up from 10% pre-pandemic. And COVID's probably got a lot to say about that. And we have an opportunity through, of course, the on-premise markets, which are hotels, bars, clubs and the like, as well as all the independent trades, retailers that are dispersed across Australia. We're picking a target of up to 5,000 retailers that we want to share this journey with and send our products into their stores in every suburb. And if we can achieve close to those targets, then we'll have a fantastic little business. Established brands, as you see, you all know what the brands are: Bundy Rum, JD, Jim Beam, Wild Turkey. They have a great deal of presence in the marketplace. We brought out a significant brand 10 years ago, 11 years ago now, and it's still quite well supported in the marketplace. Again, in the one demographic of Aussie whiskey. We think by diversing our brand across those three, and I've mentioned it more than once today, we can offer a full RTD lineup that can be successful in any particular point in the country where you may stand to lose an opportunity. We think that we can win by having a three-pronged offer or a three-pronged attack. I've mentioned the distilleries of note, and there will be further details in the letter of offer with who we're partnering with. But these guys are not second fiddle. The quality of product or the spirit that we'll be using is fantastic. It'll be more so than cover what we are required in our RTD formats. And once we look at the independent retailers, the liquor stores, and also the bars and clubs and on-premise and the like, the opportunity to have this product and this brand and our dream is to have it in every neighbourhood across Australia, is a great an opportunity for us to achieve. The brand that I started quite some time ago hit some dizzy heights, albeit an extensive business at that point in time of nearing $180 million. And that tells us that people are still loving and want to be involved in the Australian spirit market, particularly in whiskey. And we make no mistake that we will be assisting the distillers that we use to move as much of their product as we can under our brand for quite some time. November is our kickoff date. We do have cans already to be filled at our packaging partner in Victoria. We have liquid that's already arrived from the States, and we do have a bond store full of quite a lot of IBCs of ready to be mixed and blended product. We will be starting our partnerships through the independent trade, as I've mentioned quite a few times. I've cut my teeth with those guys on another Aussie Dark Spirit brand that you know that we've done. The opportunity to go back into that trade and be welcomed by so many guys that I've been lobbying for the last 12 to 18 months is fantastic. They're welcoming us back, particularly with a new opportunity that they can trade with in droves. And we're very much looking forward to the release of our first products in November 2024. Of course, Christmas is upon us at that particular point in time where it's all beer and champagne. But once that bubble bursts, we'll be advertising and marketing our Hellraiser Dark Spirit opportunities throughout Australia from February onwards. Diverse product. I think we've spoken about this quite a numerous amount of times. We'll offer an RTD format across 3 dark spirits in 4 different varieties. You know, we'll have a win in one state, and where we'll have a win with another brand in the other, another opportunity to sell a dark spirit in the other. The business model and revenue streams are wholesale into our retail outlets. It's been done before. We've had great success. The sales team that have come along this ride with me are very well versed in selling huge volumes of dark spirit, particularly Aussie whiskey, and to have the opportunity to mitigate that risk and share it with, you know, one of the most voluminous drinks in the world being bourbon, and of course rum that is loved by quite a lot of Australians, excites us to no end. We've done it before. We've got the experience. We know how the retailers work. We're familiar with their buying regime. We've got fantastic, second to none packaging partners ready to go. We think the brand is superb in its presentation, and we're looking forward to hopefully having some of you, if not all of you, on board to share the experience with us. Marketing and sales, or what we're raising. We're trying to use the Birchal experience to kick off our first $1 million partnership raise. We think that we'll achieve that by the rate of interest that we're having and the investor meets on the sidelines. It's keeping all of us very busy, and the interest that we've had to date is absolutely enormous. We will use the money, obviously, for our marketing and sales expansion. We will consolidate more liquid, and we want to use some working capital to bring some other personnel into our business and just keep the sales ticking over across that format. We will then look at, as I said earlier, maybe range extensions into different RTD formats and more premium glass-based products. But for the mainstay, your capital investment will be used for further personnel, inventory control, and marketing of the brand. That is a lovely shot of me carrying too many kilos, holding a bottle of Hellraiser with a couple of early investors. So without any further ado, I don't think that's the last page ever. Yep. We may ask the audience for any comments and their thoughts on the matter.
Thanks so much, Jason. That was just a wonderful overview of everything that you've done in the past and where you're going in the future and what you're doing with Hellraiser. To our audience out there, please jump in and put all of your questions in the little Q&A box at the bottom of your screens. Please don't hold back. Now is the time to ask any of your burning questions to Jason. Now, while everyone is thinking about their burning questions and adding them to the Q&A, I'll kick off with one of mine, Jason. I guess I'm really impressed by your previous experience in not only leading Ned Whiskey, but growing a very successful business. I'd love to hear kind of the top lessons that you've really learned in building Ned and what you're really bringing to Hellraiser.
Right, thanks, Eva. Look, nothing's ever easy. Ned is a fantastic brand, and as I said, it's still quite popular these days. There are other people pulling the strings, and I haven't been involved for quite some time. But the lessons we learned there is nothing comes easy. You know, it's shoulders to the wheel all the time. You know, the big bourbon boys from the States don't let you take over any real estate in these retail stores for free. You know, you have to earn every sale. You have to win every fight, which is why I'm trying to deliver a brand that creates diversity in itself, where we're not relying on one particular brand to bring home all the revenue. So, you know, I don't know too many other brands off the top of my head that are doing this, sharing a dark spirit category within one particular brand. I'm sure it will work. I think that we're all old enough and wise enough now to know that, you know, there are other businesses in the world that are diversing their brands. I see some Johnny Walker product do some amazing stuff, but I don't see it selling vodka. We're still staying within that dark spirit regime, and we just have to be smart about, you know, keeping our overheads low and our price points competitive to create that next sale.
That sounds, yeah, it sounds fascinating. Yeah, it sounds like you're bringing a real depth of expertise, you know, and learning about what has and hasn't worked in the past and bringing a lot of that to the Hellraiser brand. We have had a question about the expected growth over the next 12 months. Perhaps you could talk quite generally about, you know, the year ahead, and, you know, if you look at, you know, your goals for the year ahead, what do you really want to achieve with the Hellraiser brand?
Yeah, sure. Look, you know, domination of the dark spirit market is what we want to achieve, but that's a far-fetched dream. We want Hellraiser to be available at an affordable price to the everyday Aussie in every suburb around Australia. And again, by, you know, diversifying our business model into 3 opportunities where we can gain that sale, I think we've got a great chance of realising that target. We also think that, you know, there is an opportunity to have a revenue stream of up to $15 million, if not more, in our first 12 to 14 months. That's all depending upon what we raise on the Birchal platform and what we get in private investment. We can only do what we can do with what we've got. But the guys that are involved in this particular business and where we're getting it packaged have done this for many, many, many years. I think I've got enough years behind me in the Aussie RTD whiskey market to know, you know, where the pitfalls are and how to avoid them. And keeping overheads low is one of the ways where we will have a win. You know, we'll have to rely on other people, no doubt, and even the Woolworths and Coles of this world have to rely on other people in packaging of beverages. So we're not really losing any steam there, but you know, trying to get to a $15 million plus revenue in our first year is a target of ours. We think it is achievable by putting those 3 varieties into the market. We have had some interest from offshore with some of our Aussie whiskey product, which is quite exciting, and we'll know more about that in the coming months. And how we discern our price points on our glass model will also add to us trying to achieve that. But I think we've broken it down into cases per product per state ever, and we can achieve our targets if we hit 50 cases of product per ABV, per variety, per state, per week. And back in my days, and it wasn't that long ago, you know, we were sailing past that with 1 dark spirit avenue, not 3. So, you know, little fish are sweet, and we'll keep to what we know, and we won't bite off more than we can chew. But that's what we want to try and achieve.
Thanks, Jason.
year 1.5.
Thanks. That's a really comprehensive overview of the plan ahead. There are a few questions just kind of asking about the investment and the terms and how this is all going to work. For anyone kind of interested, please jump onto Hellraiser's profile on the Birchal website. You'll find a lot of information about Hellraiser and about the information about how to invest on the platform. And for anyone curious about the terms of the offer itself, all of that will be launched. It's just currently being finalized in the background, and the terms of the offer will be launched at 12 p.m. next Tuesday. So please express interest in the campaign and you will have first look at the terms of the offer and first priority to invest in the offer. So I hope that answers your questions around the investment opportunity. But to you, Jason, the next question, someone's asked, how many stores will you be stocked in from November? And will you consider other stockists outside of the independents?
From November, we go into 2 very large holding warehouses. One is called ALM, the other is called ILG. The majority of independent liquor stores draw out of these warehouses, and that has been since Adam was a boy. We'll also be going into a group of wholesalers that represent your product into the on-premise market. So if you've got a hotel or a bar, a social club, a surf club or the like, there are 3 or 4 different wholesalers who carry product there, and will be stocked in that. So the opportunity from November ever to be in 3, 4, 5, 6,000 stores, and we have to gain momentum. You know, people aren't going to know what the brand is all of a sudden, but from November, the opportunity to go into 4,000 plus stores is valid. It is realistic, and it's up to our sales and marketing plans, our price points, and these days it wasn't available to us back when I started in whiskey, but social media carries huge momentum for what we want to do and gain brand awareness. But the answer to the question is, we want to be in as many as we possibly can. We're looking forward to the taking that opportunity by the skin of its teeth and putting it into those warehouses. You can put it in there, but you have to pull it out. And as I said earlier in the piece, there's quite a lot of independent retailers who know me and trust me and have dealt with my brand before, and giving them a value for money commodity where they can sell on or beside these other international marquee brands is distinctly available from November.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, it sounds like having those existing relationships in place is going to position you nicely. You did mention remaining in the independent retailers. Are there plans to look to move into venues? And what timeline is there around a possible move like that?
Into venues, that'll be sold through the on-premise guys, right? So wherever we can put our brand, there's no doubt that we want to be there. I'll never stick my head in the sand. If Coles and Woolies come knocking on the door, that'll be a conversation to be had at that point in time. We're not in a hurry to go into the marquee retailers. I think there is a significant opportunity to build this business to fantastic levels of revenue throughout the independent trade, and the more that you entrust your brand into those independents, and they built the Ned business in early days, the better off you are. But we can survive in the independents. We don't necessarily need the marquee retailers, and the chance that we'll put the product into venues is distinct. We will chase every opportunity we can. We have to keep our team small. As I said, we have to keep our overheads low, and we have to trust our trading partners to present us at every opportunity they can. And we think we'll do that through price.
Thanks, Jason. I have an interesting question. How do you feel with Ned Whiskey, the idea of Ned Whiskey being a competitor?
I love Ned Whiskey. I don't think there's anyone on the face of this earth that loves Ned Whiskey more than me. You know, I was 01 Ned. I was the guy that invented it, created it, founded it, and I love it. I don't want Ned to fall into any harm. I think it's a fantastic brand, and long may it live. Again, Ned is in a zone where it is distinctly an Aussie whiskey brand, and we're using Hellraiser to touch in to that particular category, but we also want to you know, grab hold of that massive line of an opportunity in the bourbon brands. We're not saying we're an Aussie bourbon. Again, I want to put it out there. We are not an Aussie bourbon brand, but there's no way known I'm going to leave this earth without having an opportunity to create a business that sells into that market. And we've already spoken about the rum, but I love Ned. You know, may the best whiskey win, I suppose.
That's the spirit, so to speak. I mean, this is an interesting question, more a general question about the industry. There's been a comment about saying that independent breweries are going down or foreclosing, and a question about how do you mitigate things like this in the industry?
Yeah, well, I think it is a good question, and I'm going to assume that that question is about independent brewers, not so much distillers. There's a lot more, you know, it's more of a boutique regime being a spirit distiller than it is a brewer, and I have seen it, and it's a terrible thing that's happening at the moment. You know, cost of living is driving significant brands to the wall. What used to be a craft beer market, you know, 10 years ago is no longer in existence. When I grew up a long time ago, there were 4 or 5, you know, marquee beer brands, and you know, 10 years ago there were 700. But we can't be all things to all people. And the comment that I made earlier, Eva, by us not having, you know, a $10 million distillery and a $20 million packaging plant will lead us into having, you know, a competitive sales regime. We don't have the overheads. We don't have the rent, the staff, and everything that goes along with powering these enormous plants. But because some businesses are looking at, you know, hard times, they're selling their goods, they're selling their bulk liquids. And again, you can see it from the moon. There is that much Aussie spirit out there. It is frightening, and somebody has to do something about it. And I'm putting my hand up to say I will help those guys move their stock under our brand to all Aussies, and we'll share that load. I'd rather stay in business and utilise us as a sales agency and a brand than go down, I assure you.
Thanks, Jason. An interesting question here. The audience want to know, as a founding member of Hellraiser, do you want to give us a sense of the rewards that you'll be offering as part of the offer going live? Keeping in mind, everyone, that these will be launched on Tuesday. So more information to come, and things are being finalised in the background. But Jason, we'd love to hear from you on that.
Never ever looked a gift horse in the mouth. So I'm going to take quite a lot of feathers out of my cap from my old brand days. And what we find is the people who are putting their own hard-earned money into a business do want to be rewarded. I know through the Birchal experience and seeing the EOIs, there's, you know, hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the low, you know, $1,000 to $2,500 mark, and we want to reward those guys if they come on board. So, you know, we will do, you know, bespoke bottles, foundation member opportunities. There'll be certain merchandise that you will have that nobody else will be able to get. And of course, the coup de grace, and we did it once before, and it works, is everybody wants a foundation barrel of whiskey, bourbon or rum, depending upon your choice. And if we can hit some significant targets of investors, that will be on offer. But we'll refine those offers ever in the coming days, and will be on the letter of offer with you guys next Tuesday, I think.
Yes, and for anyone that missed it earlier in the webinar, the offer is launching to the EOI audience on Tuesday. Now, that will be a private offer for a 48-hour period. So please, we really do encourage you to express interest in the campaign so that you can be part of the community and have first access to the investment terms. Now I've got two more questions. Again, to the audience, please pop your question in now so that we don't run out of time and we do get to ask Jason live. Jumping into the next question, Jason, and I think you did touch on this in your presentation, but perhaps you can expand. What foundation brands of alcohol will you be importing to make Hellraiser?
What brands of alcohol?
Yes, what
Oh,
foundation?
we're only importing bourbon. So
Got it.
bourbon is it has to be coming out of the continental US, and we've got two relationships with bourbon. I'm happy to tell you one of the companies I visited 2.5 years ago, and we have an understanding, and that'll probably be our better bottle I discussed earlier that we'll bring out later, is from the Tennessee Distilling Company, I think the 15th largest distillery in the States. And our good friends at Coles and Woolworths, who buy more bourbon than anybody under the equator, I believe, do quite a lot of business with a company called Heaven Hill. And that's where bulk bourbon comes at a price point, and we've secured some of that. We'll be getting our rum from our cousins up in the north at Queensland, and there'll be some details shared. Depends who is investing. But a couple of my mates have been laying whiskey down, as I said, for longer than I have, and we'll be utilising a lot of their product in our Aussie whiskey offers.
Thanks,
Only
Jason.
importing bourbon, nothing else.
Only importing bourbon. Good to know.
But hopefully exporting whiskey and rum as well, right?
Quite a specific question now on the taste. By using different distillers' liquids, does that mean that the flavors are going to change based on who you're working with?
Well, every bottle, every variation, every ABV, every time that you do a distill of a variety of product, it'll taste different. So, I can speak through experience. We've had 40% whiskies and 42% and 43s, and some are made with different ingredients than others. But we're not doing a multitude of distilleries. We're buying rum from one distiller under one formulation or recipe. We're buying two versions of bourbon. One will be used for our canning product, and as I said, one will be a bespoke premium bottle, and the same with our Aussie whiskies. So we'll be putting one particular product in the can, and we'll be using one for the bottle.
Thanks, Jason. The next question kind of looks more to the long-term view of Hellraiser and where it's going. And the question is, are you launching other products in the future as well as the 3 dark spirits and the cola mixes?
Oh, goodness me. At the moment, there is no plan other than to do what we know sells. And we need to sell well, and we need to make every poster winner as early as we can. So it'll be cola, and more cola over a different variation of ABV, which is alcohol by volume. So as I mentioned, the 6.5, the 8, the 12, and the 15%. They will also be made available in different pack formats. There will be a couple of funky packaging things that some colleagues and I have seen overseas in the last few years that we'll bring to the market that hasn't been seen in Australia. But predominantly the dark spirit premixes will be with cola. We would love to say, yes, we'll bring some other different flavours and products out, but our target and our sole focus is to concentrate on what works and what sells in volume, and that's where we'll be going.
Thanks, Jason. To close off, I'm going to ask a final question. But anyone who wants to jump in with a last minute question, please do. I guess what I've been really impressed by with the Hellraiser brand is such a clear identification of your target audience. Now, in your presentation, you did mention that you have been collecting a bit of customer feedback. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about how the brand's resonating and what kind of feedback you've had so far?
Yeah, sure. The brand came into my mind probably 6 or 7 years ago. And the more people that see it, I mean, it's been sitting up here for quite some time, and I haven't been sharing it with too many people. But the more people that see it, and I had a discussion with what you guys call a high net worth individual yesterday, it seems to be resonating across quite a large demographic. My previous brand, we were looking at sort of a male-dominated demographic, starting at 18, sort of petering out at 45. The glass, or the people that drink out of a glass, you can go a little bit further into the demographic, but the cans are definitely supported by that 25 to 35-year-old group. Hellraiser seems to hit a very similar demographic, but we've had people who are involved in motorsport saying, I can't wait to have this, can we start a Hellraiser motorsport club? Of course, there's the V8 supercar lovers, but the new one that's blown me away has been the music scene. I didn't know that Hellraiser, or the name, would generate so much interest, particularly in rock. And I had as I said, I was just touching on with a discussion with a reasonable investor yesterday who's right into metal music, has his own TV, and has done quite a lot of work with the good old AC/DC boys back in the day. So we're very much looking forward to bringing all of those particular followers of those different demographics into the world of Hellraiser, and I hope we can keep them happy for as long as we possibly can.
Thanks, Jason. That's awesome. The future's exciting, and it sounds like a few new opportunities are cropping up for all kinds of collaborations.
Yes.
I'd like to thank you, Jason, for your time today and for giving us such a great presentation on Hellraiser and where it's going. I'd also like to thank everyone in the audience for coming along and joining in and asking such engaging questions today. As I mentioned earlier, a recording of this webinar will be sent around to everyone and can be watched at any time. The Expression of Interest campaign for Hellraiser is live until next week, when Hellraiser launches its offer on the Birchal platform. So if you haven't already, please jump onto the Birchal platform and express your interest for early access to the investment offer. The early access offer campaign will be open on Tuesday, the 10th of September, as I said, at 12 p.m. So please make sure you get your expression of interest in as soon as possible. There you'll be able to access all the key terms of the offer and read all the documentation before it opens to the wider public. I just want to say a big thank you again for joining us today. It was a great discussion, and on behalf of Birchal, that's all from us, and thank you so much. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Eva. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And let's raise a little bit of hell.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.